Lots of litigation going on around the country about ballot selfies, legalizing them, not legalizing them. The state of New Hampshire just got a ruling where folks can go into the polling place and take a picture of their ballot. This is not technically a selfie in that the ballot is incapable of taking a picture of itself. But there are many places in the country where that is not okay. There are others where it is. We'll point you to a resource later in the show where you can figure out exactly where you stand as far as being able to take a ballot selfie and post it or not. But many people like to do this. It sort of goes along with those, hey, I voted stickers for people to be able to demonstrate that, yes, they were there and they placed their vote. Here in California, we have very good vote by mail laws, and I haven't seen the inside of a polling place in many, many years. In fact, I sort of took my son into one, sort of like a museum visit that was at his school, because schools and libraries and things are frequently polling places. And since I've never been to one, he'd never been to one. And we went in, we toured it, and they gave him a sticker, and it was very, very nice. But for me, the physical polling place is no longer relevant in my life. That's not true of many, many other people in the country. And there's no reason why you couldn't take a picture of your vote by mail ballot as well, except if it's illegal in your state, which it is in California. So anybody have anything to add to the whole ballot selfie issue? There seems to be a sort of freedom of expression, promoting voter participation aspect to these disputes, this issue that comes into play. Venkat, what do you think?
I would agree. I think it's a great decision that recognizes the expressive value in pictures and the type of stuff people post online. I think it was interesting that Snapchat participated or submitted a brief as a friend of the court. I'm not a Snapchatter, but it was interesting to see that they chimed in and the court actually cited from their brief favorably. So overall, it's a great decision. I like it, and I think it calls into question a lot of these other restrictions in other states that try to restrict posting selfies in the voting context.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I guess the counter argument is they're trying to prevent voter fraud. Somehow they think that photography in the polling place is not a good thing. It's a security issue. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read the briefing in the case.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
What an insane argument that having visual photographic evidence of my vote somehow encourages voter fraud? What?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know. I think this is the argument that ballot selfies in any way sort of erode the sanctity of voting. I think is like a very bad argument to be making, considering that our voting percentages are approaching 50% in the best of times, and we're somewhere closer to 30% during the last midterm election. So anything we can do to make voting a more entertaining, a more civic-minded, and more community activity, if that involves posting it to social media, I think is probably a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not that familiar with the dispute either, but I assume that they're worried about, or these states that have these laws are worried about selfies with the ballot, and then people get a look at what the ballot looks like, and they can gin up fake ballots and then stuff the ballot box somehow. I mean, I assume that's what it's got to be at.
All right. Well, the other thing is
this seems so painfully unconstitutional. I mean, it's a content-based restriction. You're restricting the content of a photograph that somebody can take, and it's clearly content-based. It's got to be unconstitutional. I'm glad to see that the First Circuit is making ballot selfies great again.
Absolutely.
And to the point of voter fraud, there is so much possibility of voter fraud in democracies going back forever. If we're like, this is not the kind of thing that could prevent ballot stuffing or could prevent wide-scale voter fraud at all. Or the real the real threat to our voting system is the terribly insecure infrastructure that we have. We had an article about this a couple of weeks ago, but we have effectively 9,000 equally insecure county voting systems. Where it only takes one or two of those to be compromised to turn an election. I'm not at all worried about people posting their voting results on Snapchat. I think that's insane and just distracts from the real point.
Right. And I think the two reasons given by the legislature were voter coercion and vote buying. I think were the two ways they tried to justify the law. And to me, it seemed pretty antiquated, and the court said, these are just hypothetical concerns that may have been around way back when, but there was just scant evidence of it. So the one interesting side note to this ruling is there's a footnote that actually talks about a selfie being defined, and this was from Snapchat's brief, being defined not strictly as a photo where the photographer is also a subject, but rather all smartphone pictures shared online, including those here. I thought that was kind of funny that a ruling from a federal appeals court would delve into the definition of selfie. So there you have it.
A little broad. Talk about bludgeoning an ant. I think we could get in trouble over that, but it's dicta. All right, and Emory.
Sorry, not to beat a dead ant, but I
it's very dead at this point.
Then, Kat, maybe you can explain for us what is the vote purchasing angle to this? How is a selfie with your ballot going to? I don't even understand the concept.
I assume it's like a receipt.
Exactly. I think that's right. I'm not looking at the distance.
Because vote buying couldn't exist before you have a receipt of it.
I think that's right. I mean, that sounds crazy to me, but I think that is the rationale. Is you would produce photographic proof for somebody who then, I guess, presumably paid you to vote a certain way. So I think vote buying, that was what it was tied to, a receipt aspect of it. That seemed far-fetched to me, but that's my recollection of.
At the same time, it seems far-fetched to me that people want to publicize their votes on everything. I don't know. Have we really moved into that social media world because presumably if you're taking a picture of your ballot, you have filled it out and people will know how you voted. And that's one of the purposes of the polling place, is to keep that confidential. I don't know. I mean,
based on my Facebook feed, I don't think that anyone that I know is interested in keeping that vote confidential. Not a single person.
Well, but Emory probably wants to keep his vote secret. When he votes for Trump, he's not going to want to tell everybody he's done that.
Well, and so to answering your question, that I think that
remarks, by the way.
It was related to vote buying. One of the proposed amendments to the bill it was not adopted, this amendment, but it suggested limiting the law to posting digital images or sharing online only if the distribution or sharing is for the purpose of receiving pecuniary benefit. So I don't know if it's necessarily vote buying or promotion, paid promotion or something like that, but certainly just getting paid to post your ballot selfie was one purported concern of the legislature that the court said there's no evidence of this anywhere. So
right. I wonder how the campaigns in the states where it's legal will treat this, if they will encourage people to post their cast ballots, to show that they're favoring their candidate or whatnot. I've never seen something like that in a past election. I wonder if we'll see anything like it this year. So keep your eyes peeled and let me know.